point out here when you start thinking, designing, and then doing your project and applications. Today I will, my name is Hong Trung, and I have, you can see my degree there. Currently I am a graduate student of Management of Information Technology from business school, but I finished my thesis in 2009 for Master of Computer Science in AJAX also. And right now I am the main developer of AJAX, which is a system that we are developing and hope that we can push that into testing this semester. So will be available maybe next year.
So I'll talk about it. Like, he's the main complete developer, designer, whatever you want to call it, for the last 5 years for the IU advice system. And this is actually his thesis, master's thesis he did here under Dr. Hakimzadeh. He finished that. And right now, he's doing his, he's like a research assistant who's doing work in IU advice. It's basically a funded project. So, and you can see all the cool stuff he has done because he's been working with developing, and he's in a lot of demand across all the departments here for developing any kind of web systems. Okay, so he's going to basically talk about, pretty much he's going to mainly talk about the model view controller design that he basically used for the IU advice system. Okay, so he will show you some demonstration and show you how things work.
And today I have 3 points for this discussion. The first one will be why software reusability is very important. And we will have one exercise to see why it's so important, and another view about business people, how business people look at software reusability, why it's so important that way. After that, we will look at the pattern design, because you are now design the database, and the next thing is you have to design your application. So how do you want your application to be designed? Is there any guideline for you, or you can figure out yourself the way to handle that one? So pattern design is an important topic that you should look at when you start design your application. That solves you a lot of headache when you come to coding. And the last one will be use IU advice to demonstrate some of the concepts that I put into this presentation, so that you can see in the real world those concepts, how it works, and actually how you can verify those concepts. This one. We will start with this small exercises. Have you ever, how many people think programming is all coding? Raise your hand.
You should have asked him the first day of the class.
So it is an exercise for you. We will get into the point of the tester, the person that tests your application, and think of how many test cases, how many situations that you will put into these 3 fields to test if application running properly. Anyone?
What kind of test cases will you use to test?
For example, the first one I will put a negative number in the maximum and the minimum credits required to see if the application rejects those values or not. That is one example of test case. So you try to put any invalid value, anything that you can think of into this one. Anyone can think of another case? Letters. What kind of letters?
Characters, like the alphabet.
Special character. We can put special character into those 3 fields and see if the application rejected or not. Another one.
Leave it blank.
Leave it blank, yeah. Just leave it empty.
Yep, that's a good case too. One more. Yep.
Put something like greater in the minimum than we have in the maximum, like put a 3 in the minimum and put a
good case. Any idea?
Use extremely large numbers, like
Mm-hmm.
4 million credits.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Any ideas about the appearance of the farm? The user behavior on the farm? Click button. Anything that you want to see if you see this farm. And we add another case about the behavior when you load the form. For this kind of form, you don't want the user to accidentally send this value by press enter. So actually you want to have the cancel button will be the focus when you load the form. And that is very important when you go to user behavior. You have to think in so that the user doesn't accidentally create any interaction that they don't expect. And if you let them do it, they will make a call to you and then say, okay, how can I make it? How can you stop that one from sending the data back to the database, this one? And tester, they have to do a lot of things, not just for these free fields. You have to test if you load the form properly on top of everything, so that the user can only interact with this form, not the form under it. Or they have to test all of the word, all of the vocabulary on the form to see that the form presented properly or not. So this work of tester very frustrating. And if you look at this form, how about this one?
How do you test this? Easy, right?
Now, this one is not that easy. You have a lot of buttons here, color box here, link to open the form here, link to change the behavior of the user interface here. And you can imagine if your application is developed from the beginning and try to test this one again and again. The time that you spend on testing will more than the time that you spend on development. That is for sure, because when I worked as a SAP consultant, I am a functional consultant and I have to do testing. And I have one form that I have 30 test cases to make sure that the business runs properly throughout the system. Because ERP system is a bigger system, and that test is the whole process of business. So reusability, try to save for you the time for this one. You develop one, you test one, and then you try to minimize the modification that you have to make sure that you don't have to test this one another time. But that is the perspective of software development or software engineer or project manager. How about business people? How do they think about software reusability? If we look at this situation, assume that we have like 4 genius developers can build application from scratch and then finish in 6 months. And then we sell that system for $10,000 each copy that we sell. Now, after we finish the first version, there will be contracts coming. And most of the time, the requirements won't be different. I can say won't be significant different from the one that we already had. We have 2 ways to approach the new contracts. First one, we will try to do everything from scratch. So the junior developer said, okay, I have a new improvement that I think that will produce a better version compared to the previous one. So we do everything from the beginning. The other one is we try to develop a system that reviews. We can reuse the components in that system, so that we don't have to modify the whole system at the beginning. Don't have to test the whole system at the beginning and try to do everything at the beginning. We just modify what we have to modify. Change the name of the company, change the logo of the company, or do something that requires less amount of time for coding. And so the number of contracts, the new contract will be 2, the same thing. But the duration, since you do at this method, you do from the beginning, that will take you 12 months for you to finish the 2 contracts. Now, for this one, because you have reusability there, you don't have to do everything from the beginning. You can divide your team into 2 smaller teams with small modification, and then those teams run simultaneously. And you can finish the 2 contracts in 6 months. Can anyone tell me what is the difference here? What's the difference from this situation, from 2 methods that we're looking at? Look at the month and look at the revenue that you get from those contracts.
You make more money if you reuse.
And is it significant? Is it very large, different, or it's just like a little bit different? Yeah. This is the way that business people look at software reusability. So you get revenue for each month roughly double. And this is the way that a lot of companies they are trying to promote reusability, from Microsoft to Apple to any kind of company, even a toy company like Lego. If you know that company, this big one, they still use reusability. Because when I watch a Mega Factory series for Lego, the thing that they do when they want to build a new set, they will take all of the sets that they are having right now, see if they can reuse the pieces that they have to build a new set without producing the whole new pieces, the whole new set of pieces. So reusability is not just for software development, it's not just for software engineering, it's also for business people to think of, to calculate it. And that's why when you come to a company out there, most of the time you cannot, or you are not allowed to do anything very new. Get into it. But now, think of if we want to reuse our components, how do we want to design our application to make sure that our application is reusable? And pattern design is one of the methods that developed, tested by a lot of software engineering and best practices applied there. And one model that they want to use is the MVC, which is the abbreviation of Model View Controller. This model is developed by, formulated by Xerox PARC, which is Palo Alto Research Center. And if you don't familiar with this Xerox PARC, this is the company that provides Steve Jobs about the GUI idea. So this company bring Steve Jobs staff inside and show the GUI idea for Apple, sitting there. And in this MVC, you divide or you break your application into 3 parts or 3 components. a model, a controller, and a view. A controller, a model is the classes or the component that capture your specific requirements, your specific data model that you have for your application. And for right now, we can say that a model is a reflection of your database. It will try to capture all of the objects, all of the attribute, all of the thing that you put in a database so that you can manipulate a database through the model. A controller is another component will manipulate the model and the view. The model, a controller will intercept any request from user from any kind of input, intercept that request, figure out what to do with that request, and then contact the model to get the data to be manipulated, to be modified, change the view so that we can generate the output as we need it. And in web application, the output that we need is, what is that? What is the output that we need for a web application? Visually. Has Dr. Raman talked about that one? Not yet?
Be an HTML page.
Okay, yep, HTML. That is the main output for our web application, HTML. But HTML is the only one. Let's say HTML is just one in many output that we need. And if you come later, when we come to another technology, you will know another output that we need to do to output also. So the controller is the component that decides how to manipulate the data, how to modify the data, and how to generate the view. What kind of output that we need to. The view component is the component that mainly generate output. You give it the data, it will give you HTML or XML or any kind of output that you need.